What's up my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna make the Batanga, also known as the Charro Negro, also known as the Tequila Cuba Libre. Cause yeah, the Batanga is basically just a tequila and coke with a splash of lime and a little bit of salt. There's more to it and it's mostly in its history. So we're gonna talk about that today. We're gonna make the cocktail, but you know, usually when I make such a simple drink on a channel, it's just an excuse to play and make an elevated version of it. But when a drink like the Batanga is so deeply rooted in tradition, it's kind of hard not to ruffle some feathers along the way. I believe one of the best way to avoid that is to respect said tradition, and I think I pretty well succeeded. There's one thing I still need to work on, and I'm sure you're gonna be able to help me, so make sure to stay till the end if you want to give me a hand. So my friends, without further ado, if you guys are ready, let's make some Batangas. Let's go. Alright, so the Batanga is to Mexico what the Cuba Libre is to Cuba. It's basically just a tequila and coke. It was created in 1961 by Don Javier Delgado that was bartending and I believe was also owning the bar La Capilla. Traditionally, the Batanga is made with the tequila El Tequileño, which was the brand of choice of Don Javier Delgado. So to make the Batanga, really easy, you simply grab your glass, wet the rim of it with a lime to make your salt rim. Super important to add a pinch of salt in your glass as well. Then we're gonna juice half an ounce of lime, add that to your glass, along with 2 ounces of Blanco tequila. Then we're gonna top it with Mexican Coke, and this is mandatory for the purists because apparently Mexican Coke has a higher level of cane sugar in the recipe in comparison to the other Coke recipes around the globe that would have way more high fructose corn syrup. But I watched a very interesting report by John Harris that kind of proves that this is not really true. So if you are interested in that, I'm gonna link his video in the description. But anyways, we're gonna top this with Coke. And this is when the tradition comes into play. Don Javier Delgado used to stir his Batanga with the knife he cut his lime with, and because he was cutting his limes with the knife, that was the signature touch to add more flavor to his Batangas. Lastly, I simply gonna add a lime wheel, and there have it, the classic Batanga. Cheers. I mean, it's a refreshing cocktail, it's slightly savory, we get a good kick of tequila and the lime plays a good role here to balance the sweetness of the coke. But for me, it's kind of an average drink, and to be honest, I don't really buy the line that the knife thing was adding any flavor to the cocktail. But I read somewhere that Don Delgado was also making guacamole behind his bar. So he was cutting jalapeno peppers, cilantro, and other ingredients to make his guacamole. So maybe this is what was giving the unique flair to his Batangas. So in order to respect the tradition, this is what I wanted to emphasize on to make my spin on the classic. So let's put this one aside and make my riff on the Batanga. So first we're gonna make a spicy cilantro infusion. We will use it in a very small amount like we would with bitters, but it's gonna add some delicious savory notes to the cocktail that will be a little bit reminiscent of some guacamole flavors to recall the knife thing. Remember? So first in a small jar, we're gonna add 20 grams of cilantro, the leaves and the stem. Then we're gonna add 100 ml of vodka and 1 dash of chili pepper tincture. I've already covered the tincture recipe before on the channel, so I'm gonna link the video up here. But if you don't wanna make it, you can also add just a couple of chili flakes or a couple of thin slices of jalapeno pepper in the mix. It's also gonna work just fine. Then we're gonna close the lid, give it a quick shake, and let that infuse for 30 minutes in the fridge. Then you simply strain this in a bottle, and I recommend a pipette bottle. That's just gonna make it easier later when you will want to measure the quantity. And there have it, your spicy cilantro infusion. Next for the cocktail, I also gonna use my KOLA syrup recipe. I've made that last week, so again, I'm gonna link the video up here. I also gonna link the recipe in the description below, but basically it's a syrup that has a very unique flavor profile designed specifically for our cocktail today. This syrup is made with the most commonly used ingredients in a KOLA syrup, such as kola nuts, cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla, and citruses. So it really has that Coca-Cola feeling, but it also has a very unique flavor profile. I used in the mix a little bit of extra chili pepper flakes and some sweet clover. This will enhance the vanilla notes in the syrup, but it also provides a beautiful vegetal flavor profile that pairs really nicely with the tequila and the cilantro. Obviously, I highly recommend using my syrup for my version of the Batanga, but if you don't want to make it and still want to take your Batanga to another level, just use the hot cilantro tincture with the regular recipe and you will see just that will make a very interesting difference. But now, the cocktail. So again, we're gonna make a salt rim on our glass, but this time just half a rim. I really like to have the option of choosing whether or not I want to have some salt when I sip on the cocktail. So using our lime, we're gonna rub just the outside of our glass, but just half of it. And we're gonna go a little bit lower than usual to make kind of a half moon design here. Then we simply dip it in the salt, and then instead of the pinch of salt, we're gonna add 6 drops of 20% saline solution. That just makes it more consistent and easier to incorporate to the other liquid ingredients. Next, we're gonna add 2 dashes of our cilantro infusion, 3/4 of an ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice, also 3/4 of an ounce of my KOLA syrup, and 2 ounces of Blanco tequila. Next, I'm gonna add a beautiful block of clear ice and top it with 2 ounces of sparkling water. Gonna give it a quick stir with a bar spoon to make sure all the ingredients are well mixed. And again, for the garnish, just the lime wheel. And there you have it, my version of the Batanga or the Charro Negro. Cheers. This is really in the same vein as a classic Batanga, and I must say, I am really happy with it. We get some strong cola vibes, but it's really unique at the same time. My syrup is not as strong as Coca-Cola, so it leaves more space for the tequila to shine. It's very, very refreshing. We also get crazy delicious savory notes from the cilantro infusion, pairing so well with the tequila and the cola syrup, and if our cocktail would have been stirred with a knife used to make some guacamole, maybe this is what it would taste like. But I must say, while we get some strong Batanga vibes, this is no longer the same drink, so we need a new name, and this is where I failed. I was not able to come up with a cool name before this video, so if you have any ideas, you know what to do, leave them in the comments below. So my friends, this is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, to turn that bell if you want to make sure not to miss the next one. Until then, thank you very much again. Have a great day and see you very soon. Cheers. This, my friends, not average anymore. Super good.